pop my soda right when I
yeah, you got to get
soda water.
Soda water. I got to get my caffeine. I got my coffee here, so we're live.
Yeah, I fell in love with the soda water living overseas.
Oh yeah.
Do you have an opinion on bubbly water?
Dude, I like it. Right. Or what did they say in German? Right. If you're over there, if you're getting water, do you want it mit or ohne?
Yeah. Mit or Kohlensäure. Kohlensäure, something like that. Forgive me for my German. I know enough German to pretend like I know it. You know what I mean? But no, man. Well, welcome back from a busy week, both personally and nationally and globally. Let's just put it that way. It's been an interesting.
There's no shortage of stuff going on in the world, right? So
right. Which we don't get into that stuff, but recognizing that all this stuff has impact on career life decisions and changes and stuff to some extent.
World events, right? There's a lot going on.
We just want to be, and then obviously finances in general are impacted by how the general population is reacting to markets. That's kind of the idea of the way the stock market stuff works. But
hey, for the group out there too, you want to recount, once again, we hit up Tiki's Tiki boat, Tori's Tiki boat, right? The rum shake, right? This
highly recommended if you're in the Virginia Beach area. Put together a little gathering. Maybe it's a hail and farewell or something. I had our business partner Mike in town from Phoenix, Arizona, near my birthday. Obviously, always like an opportunity to collaborate with Blue Water and introduce people to what you're doing. So we did a little thing there with some of my friends from the gym, some folks from the Blue Water family, and I think we had a little fun and got to see a sunset cruise. The weather was nice, but we got to. I think the cool thing about that one is a lot of people didn't know about you yet. And it was exciting to kind of introduce people who are thinking about retirement and it's like, oh, there's this new world out here. I can just tap into this. Like, I don't have to be as worried as I thought.
Yeah.
So no, that was fun. So I love those kind of opportunities. I know you also did we went to a networking event at your place at Warrior Tap or your event at Warrior Tap House.
Yes, kind of a busy week for us, right? I mean, last Wednesday we hit up Warriors Tap House. Thanks to and shout out to Dave Kohler, man, for continuing to support us there at the Warriors Tap House and their team and his bride Gata, right? So they take good care of us there, and those are nice. Those are fun quarterly events, and it gives some of our local area members, right, opportunity to get out, do a little bit of networking, talk to people who have landed successfully, meet some of the representation of our corporate partners face to face, right? Fred Sanford's always a big supporter on the TAC Air side, and then Check Six, we usually get Tip O'Dowd or Keith Kimmel comes down from DC to support. And then the Two Circle cadre is always there in support as well, too.
Yeah. And you have a lot of prior members showing up. So I think, that's a good opportunity just to come in, regroup with other folks. Hey, what's going on with you? Where are you at? Oh, any insights?
We advertise it as a networking thing, but sometimes it's just helpful for members just to go, hey, they can relate to somebody that they look like. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And go, hey, this worked for you. Yes, it did. Let me tell you my story. And then people can also, it gives them a chance to kind of see themselves in that light, right? Hey, you did it. We're all here. I can do this too. How did you do it? Okay, got it. Right. And then they move forward. Right.
Yeah. Because you never know what, we've had so many interesting stories. I think that's going to be the topic of today of people finding something they maybe weren't expecting. And you can hear those stories kind of in those casual settings. And you and I are going to be going to a bigger networking event in the fall. And I recommend, any Blue Water member consider attending this. It's called the All Academy Entrepreneur Summit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have to be an Academy grad to go. We can invite you on our, spiel or whatever, but
Well,
and you don't have to be.
I didn't go
Yeah,
to the academy, so
yeah. You don't have, and you don't have to be an entrepreneur to go, because sure, there's a lot of business owners. There's some startup people pitching ideas if you like seeing that kind of stuff. But there's also a lot of grads that have made some money and gotten together with other grads and created firms. And they're looking for opportunities. Sometimes they need people to help them out. These aren't traditional roles, but that's just an upcoming event that reminded me when you said, hey, yesterday you were telling me some stories of some guys that went into private equity, venture capital, even maybe not doing their own startup, but joining a startup, which is a different potential environment. So, I'm always curious about that world. And I'm in a group called 10X Vets with some of these groups. Again, another thing, I recommend, if you are interested in these kind of alternative careers, find the groups of veterans, because these types of groups, they get together and do masterminds and again summits and stuff like that. So the groups in the sport is out there for this specific career. That's about as far as I know. I kind of network in some of those circles, but I don't do that myself in any capacity, of course, other than in some capacity I'm a startup. But I've been in those circles, so I like this conversation. So it's cool to hear that you've had some members go through it. I'm curious how it went.
I think Scott, backing that up a little bit, I absolutely do lump you into that bucket, or a portion of it anyway, right on the startup side, right? US VetWealth, man, you've had a vision and you stepped in and
we're just not doing the getting funding and trying to do exit thing. We're just bootstrappers.
Yeah. So, and again, I think the topic that we kind of talked about, right? That road or that path less traveled, right? There's still opportunities out there. And, I guess we could kind of, I've got a short list here of some great examples. I lump in the startup yourself. Certainly myself, Scotty, Joe, our efforts here at Blue Water, Steve Weeman, we've all come together. We had a shared vision. How are we going to kickstart this effort? As much as what, much like US VetWealth on the outside, we're meeting need, right? We have a membership, right? We're making sure our members are successful. But inward facing, right? If you want to look at it, this is every bit a small business, right? I mean, hey, for the listeners out there, yes, we have accountants. Yes, we have people come in and audit our books. Yes, you have a growth strategy. Yes, you have, individual swim lanes. You have, supportive operations. You have back-end support who are working accreditations and certifications and all your paperwork, right? For us, like on the Blue Water side, I'm talking about, all your cage code and DUNS number. And are we a certified, government consultant? And are we approved for that, right? Those are the things that just do not happen. And I'm not even talking about your business license and maintaining your good stead with the Commonwealth and making sure that those guys are all taken care of. I mean, it's a small business, right? Across the board, right? So we're not immune to any of that. All of that still has to get done. But outward facing, I think our members, hey, this is near and dear to their heart, and we just meet their need and make sure they're successful, right? And we've had other members, like I look at Tori too, right? We took advantage of Tori's tiki boat business, right, on the Rum Shaker, and that's been wildly successful for him, right? And very excited to continue to see him do well. Dave Culler as well at Warriors Tap House. Those are all, they start out as visions and people come together, and then maybe you have a shared vision. All of a sudden you want to pool together and hey, I like the idea of this. And are they challenging efforts? As well as I do. Yeah, they are challenging efforts, right? And but I think a lot of our membership and our members, they love that challenge, right? And a lot of them are very excited about opportunities like this. But there is a little bit of that uncertainty, that uncomfortable factor.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let me ask you this, because there's two different types of getting into business. There's let's say small business startup. Obviously, you can have your own idea and it's all on you, like some of the examples you just gave. But what about someone who sees an opportunity with a startup, but it's already established? They just need help. And that could be potentially paid equity or sweat equity. And maybe that goes for venture capital or a private equity firm as well.
Yeah, we can.
You mentioned a few people that have gone kind of that level route, where it's like they're not starting off on their own. They're already joining some sort of a firm or an agent or
exactly. And as we segue through the conversation, the full spectrum, right? I mean, I think the startup, because a lot of our members have aspirations to do that. They're excited, but they're leery of it because there is uncertainty in a revenue stream, right? And we get that.
Yeah.
And so the next logical step would be, okay, I'm going to find, my next success, make a contribution. But then we do air quotes, right? We're like, I'm going to have a side hustle. And I think of Craig Snyder, right?
Yeah.
He goes, hey, I need a JOB. I'm going to go to the airlines. I'm going to fly for American. And that's my primary thing. But I've got a fair amount of time off from that contribution. Now I'm going to start a side hustle. And as we know, right, we had a conversation, was it last week, I think, or the week before, where, he kind of chuckled. He goes, yeah, that started off as my side hustle, but that's kind of my hustle now, right? I mean, that pendulum has swung as far as, level of effort and satisfaction and fit and everything else in his life. So, the pure startup starting something, there's some risk return. And then you start the side hustle and gravitate towards this. The point that you're making is, do we have members that want to step into, like you mentioned, the private equity world? We do have members that have done this, right? Aaron Berger is a great example of this. And we should probably reach out to Aaron, see if he wants to come on and share his story with us. Aaron knew very early on, right, as he attended one of the Blue Water cohorts, he came and he just said, hey, I'm targeting private equity. There's no doubt that this is what I want to do. I'm excited about this. Now, when you say private equity, you think of a company that may already be in existence. In Aaron's case, he pursued a couple of private equity companies. One that he landed with was Aaron, don't beat me up too hard here. I want to say, I think it was Platinum Equity is the name of the company. And I'd have to look back and just to confirm that. But Pike Equity was another one he pursued, but I think he landed with Platinum Equity. And these are companies, and again, just for the sake of the conversation, right? Let's just say there's 3 or 4 members. Sometimes there's a lot more than that. But anyway, there's a pool of capital, right? There's some equity out there, and they look for ideas, right, to pursue. Maybe they want to buy some failing chain of stores or some process that's not, and then they want to retool it, relaunch it as something else, and they do their homework, right? Then they need to bring in somebody to oversee this program. Therein ushers in what Aaron was looking for, right? Man, he sought out a company, was looking for opportunities, and he goes, yeah, I'm a self-starter. I'm a quick learner, right? I can manage profit and loss, right? I can build or manage or execute vision, shared vision as what it is, and then I can do it in a time frame such that I've got this much amount of time to make this change happen. And here's my milestones, and I'm going to drive this from A to Z and keep everybody informed. Then at the end of this time period, man, I'm done. I step away from it. And then the equity company, right, those investors will be looking to make money off of this. In the meantime, there's revenue, there's compensation for somebody like Aaron, who's done very well, I would share with you, in that pursuit of work like that. Now, is there a little bit of risk involved in that? I wouldn't put words in Aaron's mouth, but just what I know of it, yeah, there is a little bit of risk. Maybe, longevity. Once that work is over, does that private equity company have another job for you to roll into. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But do you still get the experience, and are you now well-founded in these equity companies who have need for oversight of projects like this? I think the answer is yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really exciting, but there's a little bit of risk, but there's a little bit of potential for on the high end, on the up end, right? There can be some life-changing, right, compensation, right? If you're able to grow and by your own engagement, right, drive, a very impressive outcome, can be very exciting and rewarding. Yeah, Aaron would love to have him on and just share, his story with us. But that would be, another example. And I'm kind of looking down. I just logged online and was just looking through the last 3.5 years of the Blue Water lineup.
Mm-hmm.
We also have another. Let me just hit it. Okay, so Chris, who made the Tiki Boat trip with us, right? It's a great example. Man, he's passionate about launching his coffee shop. Yeah. Which, oh, by the way, I don't know if you chatted with him about that on the Tiki Boat trip, right? I mean, he's moving forward in that.
Oh yeah. I've talked a lot with him about it.
But, yeah. So maybe there's some space. Maybe we can do our podcast out of his coffee shop. Chris, if you listen to this thing, right? Let's talk.
Oh, we've already had that discussion.
Hey, build a room for us on the side, Scott, so we can do our podcast out of the coffee shop, and I can drink all of Chris's coffee, and
that is actually in the works. If this all goes down, that's part of his plan. He wants to make it a cool place to hang out, do work, and then use the downtime to potentially host videos or podcasts or whatever.
Yeah, so, but
good stuff.
Again, for the members. Current and future, right, that are getting ready to pursue their next success, these are less sought out opportunities. But what I find, Scott, is when you have the conversation and you expose members to this thing, man, their face lights up. Mm-hmm. Because we are what? We are self-starters, right? We can work in delivering results in an ill-defined or very defined timeline, right? We can structure it. We can very quickly. Our membership is very, very good at going, okay, hey, here's the major milestones. Here's the smaller ones in between. Here's how much time I need to allocate to this. Here's what the resources I have. Here's the scarce resources that I don't have. How am I going to overcome this? And just create this flow of events, as well as I do, right? Our members thrive in that kind of environment. I mean, think about an aircraft carrier commanding officer who takes an entire ship and crew and has to go through a yard period. That's a massive undertaking, right? Or an air wing commander like myself, when I stepped in, it's like, man, you've got all new people. Here's your 9 squadrons. You've got 18 months. You need to get everybody trained and up and ready, working together as a close-knit team. So you're ready to go forward and project power as the nation requires, right? Those are long projects, right? And you have major milestones. You have a fixed amount of time, and you will have challenges along the way. But we communicate well, we structure well. The point I'm trying to make is our membership are drawn to conversations like this. And what I would say is it may not be for everybody, but I wouldn't pass on opportunities like this. They can be very fulfilling and they can be rewarding.
Well, let me ask you this then, because I think a lot of these organizations don't necessarily have an HR department. They're not out there like putting out job postings unless they like have the project already and they know the person. But that doesn't mean the opportunities can't present themselves.
Yeah.
Is this more of a going to take a little bit more direct networking, which shouldn't be too hard. I think you just do a couple searches for private equity and veteran on LinkedIn, and you find a lot of people open to conversation. But you really just need to explore the industry a lot, just see what does an opportunity even look like if it's not going to be a standard. Here's your job description. Sign up on this website.
And it can be just, full spectrum, right? Mm-hmm. Who knows what it is? I had a good friend of mine, Gus Nickel, who I believe is still in the area, a guy I served in squadrons with in the past. He took that path a little bit less traveled, right? He spent some time at Centera Medical, but then after that, he kind of stepped into a little bit of the, I'll say, private equity / venture capital world. And there are opportunities out there that organizations, groups are looking to find the right person to execute, right, and turn their vision into reality. And they've got a period of time. They're willing to invest in it. They're willing to invest in you. Hey, this is what we want done. And I need you to go and make this happen, right? And it can be very, very exciting. And very rewarding, especially for, the type of pedigree our members are, right? We come wired to do this. So it can be exciting.
When I'm more on the startup side, I know with the new technology, drones specifically, I'm sure AI, I'm sure there's, whether defense contracting or otherwise, I guess, well, within the defense contracting space, what are you seeing as the opportunities / risks of joining a quote unquote startup versus maybe an established company? Or do you see that outside of the defense contracting? What are most of your members?
I think there's some exciting opportunities even with defense, right? There's been so much information and discussion on this, right? And I've got some pretty strong opinions on this, but I mean, we have let's look at big defense. When I say big defense, I want you to think of the Boeings, the Northrop Grummons, the Lockheed Martin, big, right? These are big defense companies. And there was an interesting article. I'm not sure if you were tracking. It was a Northrop Grumman article, and they have a space, I will say, a sector, right? And it's located down in Florida. And it's been a while since I looked at the article, maybe a month ago. But the gist of the article was that they were having to basically furlough. They were having to let go, I wanted to say like 1,000 Northrop Grumman employees out of this space sector, right? And it caught my attention. I'm like, man, right? Just much like we've seen in the tech sector, right? Google and Meta has big mass exodus of a lot of technology. I think everybody overshot that as they entered into COVID. And now this is kind of a right sizing thing going forward.
Going back to the office.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, but the gist of it was, and my takeaway in the article was, okay, this is happening and here's the deal and everything. And I promise I'm going to bring it around to, these kind of opportunities in defense sector. But the gist of the article was, there are new vibrant companies that, if you look at a decision loop like this of wow, I'm kind of caging my own head here, right? But if you look at a decision loop, in defense industry as this, but then you have these smaller companies that can spin inside of this decision loop, meaning that they can generate ideas, formulate a plan, turn on it, and deliver results much quicker than these legacy, and again, I don't mean any disrespect, but for the point of the discussion, somewhat archaic, right, lethargic, big mammoth companies like this. And the more I read the article and I got to the end of it, they just said, we're not agile enough to compete with, let's just start naming off some companies: Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin, Anduril, like all of these companies that are taking this agile, very quick moving mindset, leveraging as much as what you can off the shelf technology, blending it together and putting it in motion and delivering results very, very quickly. And basically, my take, the last half page of this article was, yeah, we just can't operate like that. And I said, dadgummit, America needs a strong Boeing. We need a strong Northrop Grumman. We need a strong Lockheed Martin. And instead of just throwing your hands up and going, we quit, we can't compete, like, get agile, man. get agile and compete. Because if you look at these companies like Anduril, right, and what Palmer Luckey is doing, and with that company, and that's exciting. And we've got Blue Water members that have now landed with Anduril, and it's exciting, vibrant approach to making contribution in the defense sector, but from a startup perspective. And I'm here to tell you, that's a company that still offers some interesting discussions, right, on your offer and going with the company. Discussions around equity, right? Restricted stock units, these kind of things, right? You don't think if you're going to go to work for Boeing and they're going to say, yeah, you want stock in the company, we're going to give you a bunch just for signing on. I think a lot of those days are kind of gone, right? But some of these younger companies and these startup efforts, it can be exciting to get into those kind of discussions.
I mean, what comes to me when I hear that is the assumption is big corporations safer job. Unless there's layoffs, in which, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you're in a group that's part of the layoffs, you're just going to get laid off. Whereas in the smaller firms, depending on how small, of course, but you could get skin in the game with equity. Therefore, hopefully motivating you to perform well and want to, find the right fit and stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, you potentially have more impact to make sure that the company and your job is therefore, maintained and successful, and you don't have to worry about layoffs. So while startups seem riskier, or maybe they pay less out the door, sometimes not at all. If again, that's sweat equity thing could be a thing.
Right. Our members, they look at this, right? Your upside or your downside, there is some risk in there, but at the same time, that can be exciting, right? And in some instances,
part of a new mission.
Yeah, you bet. It can be like
what's Adderall?
Anduril. Yeah.
Sorry. What do they do?
Yeah, they're a Palmer Luckey, right? Was an exec at I don't have my notes here in front of me, but it was Meta, Facebook, right? And he basically took his own, pot of revenue, right? And he started up this company in the DC area aimed at the defense industry. So all of the agility, think on how a company like Facebook or Meta is run, or even maybe an Amazon or a Google, right? Or some of these. I mean, you've been in touch with these, right? They are very out of the box thinking, right? Everybody's willing to kind of have some really exciting, interesting approaches. I'm not locked into, hey, this is the defense industry. It's always been this way, so you have to do it this way. No, we don't. Nope, we don't have to do that anymore. We're going to build our own rocket, and guess what? We're not going to splash it down or let it burn up. We're going to bring it back to thing, and it's going to flip itself on, and then it's going to light its things, and it's going to land itself, and we're going to reuse it. Wow, what a NASA. Where were you on some of this stuff, right? I mean, cutting costs and driving it. Now, they're not immune to any challenges for doing big projects and deliverables like this, right? There is some risk, and but it's that exciting approach to it, right? Where you're taking a lot of off-the-shelf technology and developing some of your own, right? And moving forward and doing some of these things. Many of our members find approaches like that very exciting, right? And it can be. And again, I would segue again, and just for our members here at Blue Water, we do have a portion of the network that we would love to plug you in with, right? That has done startups, right? We encourage our members. In fact, we even had some information on our content wall on our website. We encourage you to establish your own LLC, right? We know the senior leadership that comes through as our membership. It is worth your time and effort to go through that drill and establish this, because many of our membership will be called, hey, Scott, do you have a few hours on Wednesday? We'd like to bring you in, meet the team. We have some questions for you. How would you approach a survivor benefit plan, whatever it is, content? And so you're going to be consulting. You're going to come in, and a company is going to put you in their conference room and they're going to ask you questions and you're going to provide insight. And for 4 hours, they're going to pay you for that, right? And our membership, right, senior leaders, as most of them are primed for that. And so we really do encourage our members, hey, spend a little bit of time, get your LLC established. That needs to be something that's in place for you. So when these opportunities do come up, man, you have a pass through in your business. You can invoice people and they can pay you. And it's just already established, right? And so many of our members will dabble in opportunities like that. Next thing I would say is, even my partners here, Scotty and Joe, not only are they, senior leader here, in Blue Water, but man, they're very respected government contracting business owners themselves, right? Until fairly recently, they were the CEO and president, respectively, of ODL Services. Happy to say that, after, 13, 14, 15 years of sweat equity in that effort, they were acquired by a company called Barbaricum up out of Washington, D.C. And they did very well. And it was an exciting, but just that process on how to build a company, make it profitable. How do you sell a company? How is it acquired? What are the considerations in that? And now what does it look like on the back end of this, right? That is experience. That is insight for our members to be able to tap into and have those questions, right? And I'm excited that we have that expertise here. In fact, one of our members out in Seattle, Matt Arney, I think you know Matt, right? He's in the process right now. And Matt had fallen into, for the members that are out there, Matt, again, I apologize. Hopefully I get this right. He started his career progression. He landed initially in Seattle working for a company called the Arnold Group. And the Arnold Group was a really exciting company. And he stepped in there and they were consulting. And they did a lot of various different, consulting in various different swim lanes. And he slid right into that and did very well. Well, the Arnold Group was acquired, right, was purchased by KPMG. KPMG, larger consulting company, scooped up the Arnold Group, for various different reasons. I'm sure Matt could articulate that, but it's probably access to some of the customer base and everything that the Arnold Group had put together. And they scooped him up. And Matt went through that as part of the Arnold Group, but now he's being acquired by KPMG and he was immersed into that company. Lived through that whole experience, started to emerge on the KPMG side. And then it's not uncommon, but there was a little bit of downsizing now that the acquisition was over. And so Matt, due to a number of circumstances, started looking for his next success and has found a very interesting opportunity in Seattle where an owner of a government contracting firm is laying the groundwork for succession planning. This individual, I don't know exactly what his age is, but 70, 75 years old. He's built this company up, be very, very high performing, profitable, and everything, is now in negotiations, bringing Matt to the table to kind of, hey, this is what succession planning looks like, right? And we won't name any names, and this is still a work in progress, I think. But Matt, I know, has had a number of conversations with myself and then Scotty and Joe, as well as things to consider and everything. And so I just wish him completely well in that venture, right? And so excited to see the outcome of this. But again, our membership are tailor-made for things like this, right? We are fixers. We come in, we work well with resources, constrained resources on fixed timelines to deliver results, right? And I'm not saying that this is a great fit for everybody that comes through, but there are a number of our members that will come through this, will be very intrigued about this, and learning about opportunities. So we're starting to grow a pretty good base. I think you would agree, Scott, that if somebody came to the table and go, hey, I'm interested in learning more about this. Well, man, we've got a number of people that I can put you in touch with to,
I think the first step is to hey, no, this is worth having the interest,
Yeah.
and say, because maybe a lot of people are coming to you and they're not even thinking to ask that question.
Most
So
aren't really aware that it's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a good way to sum it up, saying, hey, don't forget to explore all your opportunities, and ask us as well. We can still point you in the right direction at Blue Water.
We've had members come and ask questions about franchises, right? Hey, I'm interested in everything from hey, I love Subway sandwiches. Does Subway offer a franchise? Yeah, we do. You can have conversations. We know people that have done that in the past. Hey, I love Chick-fil-A. I think it's a great business model. Do we have anybody that we can? Yeah, we can introduce you to people that have a conversation about Chick-fil-A thing. If you franchising is another thing, right? Mosquito Joe's is a great franchise. It's a neighborly company here, right? And Lou Shager is, big into that here. He's another great point of contact, right? And that just opens up part of Lou's network out there. There's a ton of people here locally who dabble into a lot of these, what I would say, that started our conversation, paths less traveled, right? Yeah. But they're out there. There's opportunities out there, right? For sure.
No, sweet, Mike. Yeah. Again, I'll reiterate, other than just pinging people as you do anyways in your networking approach, when you can go to either masterminds or groups or meetups or events, specifically the one we're going to, it's called the All Academy Summit in DC. I'm sure there's easy to find on a website, but there'll be probably 500 people there. A lot of, everything we've talked about today and then some, great chance to just meet people. And so things like that. It just happens to be that one coming up was top of mind. Mike and I are going to be there. So if you are going to be it's in DC, Falls Church area, October 15th to 17th. So either way, if you're going to be in the area, we could probably do a little get together during.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Sometime. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can do a networking event with a few Blue Water members
exactly.
up in DC at that time. That'd be good.
Yeah. Couldn't hurt. Good idea.
I like it. Okay.
All right. Well,
good discussion.
Yeah, let's call it a day. And anything new to announce? You're packed up for the year.
Man, we are. In fact, I was just on the phone with Steve Weeman prior to this. Right, we're all set for next Wednesday, July 31st. Our career progression cohort. Once again, we're going to be down in the Booze conference room, right? Their Norfolk office, which is near the airport, right behind IKEA for the people in the Hampton Roads area familiar with this area out here. It's a great professional environment, and we really love it that when members attend, it's in the environment, right? You're hearing the message of what's next in the environment for many that will resemble what's next, right? If that makes sense, right? And it just becomes very impactful. And for the individuals that are seeking follow-on in booze as well, right? There's opportunity there. And in fact, I was just looking at the lineup for the lunch roundtable. We've got Mike Kafka, who's a Blue Water member, but he's with Centera Medical now on the communication and PAO side. So he's done very well there. Heath Dunbar, Army senior leader, right, is currently with Booze, is going to join us for the day. And then Bob Holmes, right, former Naval Air Station Oceana Commanding Officer, Navy senior leader, right, and he's landed here with a company called GTI Local, and so he's going to be there to share his insights as well too. So kind of a diverse panel there for our working lunch for members to ask any questions that they've got, right, and that's kind of what we put together here at Blue Water. Not only do we provide individuals and members a ramp into the entire Blue Water network, but that non-attribution environment on a lunch roundtable, very great discussions. I've done a ton of these things, Scott. I love every single one of them. In fact, I just love hearing all of our members' successes and stories about what they experienced as they share that in a non-attribution environment, right, with members that are getting ready to step into, right, their career progression. So very, very exciting, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, love it.
Oh, great, man. Well, it'll be a great session as always. And cool. Well, then we'll plan to do this again next week. I think we had a few ideas we wanted to discuss, and maybe some people we wanted to bring on to interview. But we'll launch that when we figure that out, I guess.
Love it. Yeah. For
All right.
everybody out there, when Scott says when we figure it out, that's usually Tuesday late afternoon, right?
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to like have some topic. I mean, really, the idea is for Mike and I to get together at least once a week, discuss something in more depth, because that way we can learn a little bit from each other. We obviously know a lot of Blue Water members. Tune in a little bit, pick up an insight here and there, anything that can just help move the ball forward. This just allows Mike to get out into the open a little bit more and share some thoughts on what he's seeing in the environment of career progression. And no, that was I think a great insight into some of the roads less traveled, getting into private equity.
I like it. All right, brother.
All right, dude.
Thanks for all you do. Appreciate it.
You bet. We'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.